Give me 10 minutes and I'll save you 15 years of copywriting mistakes. This document right here contains 13 emotional manipulators backed by Harvard research, neuroscience studies, and over $100 million in ad spend. Here's what the Harvard Business School discovered. 95% of purchases are done unconsciously. If you're writing copy without knowing these triggers, you're probably seeing your ads get clicks but no purchases. Let's fix that. All right, so the first out of the 13 emotional manipulators is lust. And lust is basically a sex motivation or a desire. And so the definition of it is exceptionally strong desire for anything, not just sexual attraction. So this is about hunger, thirst, appetite, approval, acceptance, things like that. And so how do we manifest this, or how do people seek to manifest this? They seek approval and acceptance from others. They desire for power, popularity, having the hots for something, or a specific connection. And so how can we bring this and tie this into marketing? Well, we can tie it into marketing because basically lust is biologic and psychologic. And so it can be focused on any object of desire. So basically for males, the trigger is often, I'll get laid more, or I will have more power. But for females, it is more so like I will be more attractive, or I'll be more admired. And so how can we connect lust into our marketing? That's the biggest thing. So you want to think of this as an example. If you're selling maybe some piece of clothing or jewelry for a woman or a man, you want to tie in the lust part to status. You want to tie it in so that they feel like, hey, if I buy this, I'm going to get laid more. Or if I buy this, I will be more attractive. Now, the second emotional manipulator is escape. And this is basically the greener pastures motive. And so with this, basically what it means in the definition is the grass is always greener on the other side. So people are like cats, they want to be in the other room. And so how do we manifest this? This is, stuff like liberty and freedom from current constraints. This is desire to escape from, someone's control, right? Working a 9 to 5, having a boss, things like that. So again, this is basically the classic greener pastures motive. And most people typically do this within the coaching and online space. And so the marketing application to this is sell the escape from their current reality. You want to show them the other side, the other life. This is why you see a lot of times in coaching offers, people will, showing their lifestyle, because lifestyle content and lifestyle ads will show and push the greener escaping from their current reality and, wanting to be in someone else's place and want to be in someone else's reality. Now, the third is esteem, and this is basically getting people to feel good about themselves. So what's the definition? People desperately want to feel good about themselves. This is about self-respect. This is confidence, status, and avoiding the feeling of being inferior and inadequate. And so how does this manifest? Basically respect and self-respect, confidence in oneself, ownership, status, being part of the in crowd, these type of things here. Now, how does this tie into our marketing? Well, we need to tap into the desires to be superior or the fear of being inferior. The before everyone laughed, now you have to prove them wrong narrative. And so how do we build up self-esteem in our marketing? We want to make someone feel good about themselves. If they're purchasing something from us, how does that reflect into how they feel about themselves? Is this purchase going to make them feel higher, better about themselves? Different things like that. And that's how we want to build in the self-esteem or the esteem into our marketing applications. Now, the fourth one is a pretty common one, but this is basically fear. So loss, danger, and being left behind. The main definition of this is fear is one of the most powerful motivators. People will do more to avoid loss than to achieve gain. That is a very powerful statement there. This is about protecting what they have and avoiding danger. What about fear? How does it manifest? So fear of loss, fear of danger, fear of being left behind, so FOMO, fear of criticism, fear of making bad decisions. Everyone fears things. And so how can we build this fear into our marketing? Well, how we build it in is we show them what they will lose if they don't act now. So make the cost of inaction greater than the cost of action, because people will do more to avoid loss than to achieve gain, right? The fear of being left behind while competitors advance is especially powerful when you build that into your campaigns and you use that in your marketing application. Now, 5, guilt. Guilt is another big one that you can use, but basically this is talking about past failures and unmet expectations, right? So again, what is the key pointer here? Guilt is the emotional weight of past failures, disappointing others or not living up to the expectations. People carry guilt for their weaknesses, poor behaviors, and unresolved issues. So how is it manifest? Well, past and unresolved failures or abuses, disappointing your spouse, your family, your team, not living up to other people's expectations. The guilt for fear or weakness or poor behavior, procrastination, being overweight, or the guilt for true thoughts, desires, and wealth. So how can we tie in guilt as an emotional manipulator into our marketing application here? Well, become the permission slip. Make them feel the weight of guilt. Then you position your offer as a way to finally resolve that and make things right. Have you tried X before and failed? But this time you can make your family proud. You're tying in the guilt of what they did before, the guilt of trying something before, and now you're tying it back into, well, you have that feeling and you're feeling that guilt. Now, if you make it it and you try us this time, if you make it, this is what's going to feel like for you now. And so you're just basically tying that back into the marketing application here. Now 6, affinity. So affinity is basically what I identify as. So people buy to reinforce their identity. Affinity is basically you want to belong to a certain group that validates who they believe they are. And so by association, I am rich. So I buy products that rich people buy. Choosing a trusted guide or advisor who reflects my values. Safety, that type of stuff. Prestige and status by investing in the right things. Man or mouse, a winner or loser. Make them self-identify with the winning side. And so how can we tie affinity or someone who identifies in something into our marketing? Well, you want to position your offer as a choice that defines their identity. Winners invest in themselves, losers make excuses. Force them to self-select into what they identify as, and they're going to identify themselves into your product or your service. 7, greed. This is a very big one. Never enough. People are always greedy in this day of age. So greed is about insatiable appetite, gluttony, and desire for access. So it appeals to those who believe there is a secret being withheld from them and they want it. And so this is basically holding something back from them on the other side of the door, and they want that, right? There's a secret being held from them that they want, and they're greedy and they're going to try to find it. And how can we tie this into the marketing application? Well, speak to competitive people who want to, want more than everyone else, right? Position your offer as that secret that separates winners from losers. And then you can use scarcity and exclusivity to amplify the greed, because greed, you never have enough. And so if they want something that they don't have and that they can't have and it's being withheld from them, it makes them want it that much more. 8, deep anxiety. So this is persistent worry. So persistent worry that never goes away. What is this? This is basically never-ending feeling worried, right? You're in a perpetual state of fear that sometimes bad will happen to you, that they're not safe. And so how can we use this? Well, we can use this to call out the perpetual state that they're living in and then make them aware that that anxiety is always there. And then you position your offer as the one to finally be free from it. And so if you utilize this, your deep anxiety or your persistent worry is maybe something to do with your kid. So if we're selling a product for children and maybe it has to do something going after the parents, a safe feature for their child, well, they're going to be living in that constant worry and that constant fear that, their child isn't safe. But if we can then make them aware that they're living in that anxiety and then position ourselves that this is the option to overcome it, then that will tie into the emotional manipulator of deep anxiety. Number 9, feeling impotent, right? So paralyzed by uncertainty. This is feeling impotent is a feeling of not knowing what to do, being uncertain and feeling unable to act or resolve something. Now, how does it manifest? You're not knowing about what to do about it. You're uncertain or lack of clarity. And so if someone's feeling impotent, so they're paralyzed by the uncertainty, what we want to do is we want to give them the certainty. We want to call them out. So call out what they don't know and then how we can fix their problem, right? And then we want to position ourselves as that person, give them that clear path forward. You don't know how to do this, that's okay, but we're going to show you exactly how to do this. If someone is uncertain, you want to be that certainty and you want to show that certainty in your marketing, give them that clear path forward. Number 10, poor sense of self. So this is basically profound dissatisfaction. What this means is basically this is a deep personal dissatisfaction. So feeling like a second-class citizen or feeling the weight of disapproval from others. And so how it manifests is basically profound professional dissatisfaction with oneself. You're feeling looked down on or discounted by others, emotional weight, feeling like a second-class citizen or someone on the outside. But how can we take this poor sense of self and then derive it to our marketing application? Well, you want to then make this person who has a poor sense of self, you want to make them seen and understood. You want to acknowledge their dissatisfaction. You don't want to just not talk about it, but then you want to show how our offer or your offer transforms them into the person they want to be. And that's how you take someone from a poor sense of self to then coming forward and feeling that they want to buy from your offer. Number 11, access concern. What will they think, right? So core psychology, this is about caring too much about others' perspectives. Even when 100 people show them or love them, people obsess over the one person that hates them. And so how can we tie this into, first of all, the marketing application? Well, you need to position your offer as a solution to finally get them to gain respect and approval. You're going to show them how to stop worrying about critics and start commanding respect. And so how it manifests is basically caring too much about other people's opinion, obsessing over negative feedback, fear of being unpopular. And if you can push this emotional manipulator out of someone and you can get them to then understand that coming forward on this offer is not going to matter what other people think, then you'll get them to move forward, right? 12, victimhood and paranoia. So this is basically a conspiracy against me. So this is embracing the idea that there is a conspiracy against oneself. And so belief in conspiracy theories, feeling like the victim, circumstances, paranoia, that type of stuff. Now, how do we bring this back to the marketing application is basically we want to validate their frustration with, the system, and then we want to position our offer as a way to beat it. Yes, the game is rigged, but here's how you win anyways. And the last emotional manipulator manipulator is apprehension. So what if this goes wrong? And this is a very big one. This is the worrying or the forebodying and uneasiness. It's the feeling that, something is going to go wrong. And this is basically backed on past failures, right? And so people are worrying about or forebodying about future circumstances, future outcomes. They're uneasy about it. And what we need to do is we need to acknowledge their past failures or their bad experiences, and then we need to guarantee proof risk reversals to reduce the apprehension and show them why this time will be different. And you need to have all 13 of these emotional manipulators in and tied into your ads and your funnel pages and your marketing, email copy, everything like that, so that this will allow you to convert more people because you're tying it back to the emotional manipulators rather than just throwing up a random ad. So hope that makes sense. Hope you guys like this video. Thanks.